Here with more, Florida Senator Marco Rubio is with us. Senator, thank you for being here.
Hey, Sean.
I don't have
Thanks for having me.
all the answers, but I do know this, Senator, that if the Ukrainian people have shown the willingness to courageously fight back, if we give them the javelins, we give them intelligence, we give them Stinger missiles, and I would argue give them the MiGs and give them the jets that they want, I'm confident that they could do a good enough job with their insurgency back against Putin. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you're seeing that play out. Look, I mean, the Russians are bringing to bear about 65% of their entire conventional forces are now inside the country of Ukraine after 20 years of massive increases in defense spending. I think you're seeing a couple things. Bad planning, no doubt about it. I think you're also seeing that some of the Russian equipment isn't as good as advertised. But the last thing you're seeing, is probably the most important, is that will to fight. And that's not something that's easily measured. You know, you can't. I don't think Putin or the Russian military thought that Ukrainians would fight the way they have right now. And they're playing defense. They're in a defensive position, which has allowed them, for example, for weeks to build up defenses around Kyiv. So I don't think the Russians are going to be able to go in and take any of these cities. They may be able to level them, like you were just saying, but take them, that's going to be a tough task, especially Kyiv.
So we have Afghanistan. We know the disaster that became. We had over the weekend ballistic missiles from Iran slamming into a base in Iraq, but they're saying, oh, we weren't the target. I'm not sure I buy that. China is warning of the worst consequences of any country that supports Taiwan militarily. Senator, you know as well as I do that we have an agreement with Taiwan, and we are an ally of Taiwan. Are we going to abandon them next?
You know, Sean, I think what this is reminding us of is if you look at the history of mankind, about 5,500 years of written history, it's largely been the story of authoritarianism. What we have here in America, you were saying it in your monologue at the outset, is very rare and unique. Almost all of human history has been about authoritarianism. And history didn't end at the fall of the Soviet Union. And now you have authoritarians in charge in some pretty powerful countries, like Russia, like China. And then they have nuclear weapons in places like North Korea, and they're trying to get them in Iran. And so what you're seeing here is a number of countries testing America, testing freedom. They view this as their opportunity right now to expand for a lot of different reasons. They see weakness in the White House. They see distractions and complacency in the West. And do I believe the American people are prepared to do what it takes to defend Taiwan? Absolutely. But just know we're not going to have the same options to sanction China that we've had to sanction Russia, which reminds us why we need to begin to protect our own economy. One thing is to get cut off of the Russian economy, but right now we depend way too much on China for the things we buy. We have to stop that.
Senator, I still, for the life of me, can't get over the negotiations brokered by Russia and China between the U.S. and Iran, and that would transfer tens of billions of dollars to the mullahs in Iran, make them rich right off the bat. But then we would be possibly, according to Pete Buttigieg, the genius that he is with all the experience he has, importing oil maybe from Iran, then possibly lifting sanctions with Venezuela and Maduro, a murdering dictator thug. And still, Joe has been begging OPEC to increase their energy production. They keep turning him down, and he doesn't turn to Texas, Alaska, and Oklahoma for oil, and he doesn't turn to West Virginia and Ohio and Pennsylvania for gas. Why not?
Because these guys have an agenda that becomes an object of like religious worship, right? So like we have to sign the deal with Iran. They're so obsessed with it. No matter what else is happening in the world, we got to get that Iran deal done. It doesn't matter how many people they kill, how many terrorist attacks they carry out. We got to do that. The same with the Green New Deal and so forth. They're so obsessed with it that on the one hand, no matter who we have to buy oil from, as if somehow a barrel of oil from Saudi Arabia were cleaner than a barrel of oil from the United States, no matter who we have to buy from, let's buy it from them, let's beg them for it, but let's not produce it here in America so that we can say, well, at least it isn't our oil that's destroying the environment. I mean, it's just lunacy, it's nonsense, it's left us vulnerable. The American people see what common sense decisions are, but these guys can't make that decision because they got radicals in charge of the Democratic Party.
Why are you against the no-fly zone?
Well, I just think the no-fly zone, frankly, is not what people think it is. It's not. It would require going to war with Russia. We would have to go after all of their anti-aircraft, their surface-to-air missile, but not just in Ukraine. We'd have to go after them in Russia. We'd have to go after them in Belarus. You'd have to be willing to shoot down any airplanes that fly over the air in Ukraine. So I don't don't think that a lot of people fully understand. No-fly zones are not some FAA rule that's put out there. They have to be enforced. You have to actually go out and be willing to shoot people down. And in the case of Russia, you're going to have to knock out their surface-to-air missiles. This is not Syria. This is not Iraq. Yeah. I mean, these guys have real surface-to-air missiles. And I just think before we go to World War III, which is what that would be, we have to be prepared to, and we have to be prepared to understand clearly what we're talking about doing here.
All right, Senator, this is very fluid all around the world. Thank you for being with us, Senator Marco Rubio. Now,